Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Connor Firmender, CEO and co-founder of Fieldr. I hope you've been doing really well. Hope you've been staying safe and healthy. And anywhere that's the restrictions getting lifted, we hope you're getting out there. And, of course, still being safe, wearing your mask. But finally, hopefully starting to see some friends, some families now that things are starting to ease up. And, of course, we hope you're enjoying your summer. We have episode 15 coming at you today, Maximizing Your Fall Semester. We have a very special guest with us that is here in the community. But before we dive into his introduction and getting into some of the details of our guest, we have, as always, just a couple housekeeping items to go over for you all. First and foremost, the book that I had released a couple weeks ago, The Ever-Evolving Art of Balance, is out now, available on Amazon. Both the paperback, as seen here, and the Kindle ebook version is available on Amazon. Just go ahead and search The Ever-Evolving Art of Balance, or search Connor Firmender, or search Art of Balance, and it'll be one of the first ones that come up. It's a self-education book. Will really help out all of those students who are heading back into the school year. Start preparing, start setting your goals, and just start, pulling all the loose ends together and tying all the loose strings, loose ends together, and again, getting yourself ready for an awesome fall semester. Beyond that, we just want to quickly remind you of the Lee County portal that we launched it a few weeks ago. For now, again, as I've said it a few times in the past, this summer has been dedicated to getting employers signed up on the Lee County portal. So all of my employers out there, any businesses out there, go ahead and visit leeschools.fieldr.app, LEESCHOOLS. So it's Lee Schools with an S, .fieldr.app, and you'll be pulled up to the exclusive portal that is designated to the school district of Lee County's high schools, where this upcoming fall semester they will be using for all internship placement, on-the-job training, so on and so forth. So if you're an employer, go ahead and get yourself registered, get your account created, and as the fall semester rolls around in a couple weeks, you can start posting any opportunities you have available. This is the end of our season 1. We wanted to cap it at 15 episodes, plus I mentioned the bonus episodes. So it'll give everyone a chance who may have not had the chance to listen to all of the different 15 episodes, go back, catch up on our season 1, maybe go back and re-listen to any of the episodes that were really valuable. We've been really good about releasing these, weekly. And so just want to, again, make sure that there's enough time for everyone to get, get a hold of all episodes in season 1, and then make sure you give a listen to them. Season 2 of the podcast, you can expect to come out in October. We're shooting for October. So August and September, we have reserved for the Fieldr Academy blog. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. I'll also, at the end of this podcast, I'll shoot a quick reminder to everyone as well. But yeah, look out for the blog coming out here soon through August and September, and then we'll roll out season 2 of the podcast coming in October. But without further ado, we'd like to jump into the podcast now. Our guest, Kyle Hartman, the Director of Development at FSW Foundation here in Fort Myers, Florida. He's played a role in the higher education industry for roughly 8 years, all residing with FSW, where he even graduated from with his associate's degree in fire science technology and a bachelor's degree in public safety administration. His career with FSW started in the EMS fire department, helping students succeed in becoming emergency medical technicians, paramedic, firefighters, and then from there was promoted to the simulation coordinator, where for 5 years he was in charge of 3 multi-billion-dollar laboratories that house lifelike manikins simulating sweat, bleeding, talking, and even childbirth, as all real patients would. That is extremely interesting, and I know Kyle mentioned that to me before, but we'll have to touch on that because I'm sure everybody's really interested to hear more about that. But once he mastered that sim lab, Kyle wanted to find new ways for students to achieve their goals, henceforth becoming the Director of Development, again, over at FSW Foundation. So we're really, really excited to dig into his role at the foundation and see what FSW has going on in the community. So Kyle, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on today's episode.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Season 1 finale, so we'll end it on a high note, right?
Absolutely. Always got to land on the crescendo. Yeah. Kyle and I met a few weeks ago at the Emerge Southwest Florida Virtual Expo. I hope you all had a chance to, see some information on that. But when we put that together, FSW was one of the sponsoring companies for the nonprofit room. Again, FSW Foundation being the nonprofit leg to the college. And so I was super excited to meet Kyle. Loved what he had going on, and we had to bring on for season 1. So Kyle, go ahead and tell everybody, just, we'll dig into more of your role. So tell everyone of the specifics of your role as Director of Development.
All right. So what, you hear Director of Development. Sometimes I think like, what is development? That can mean a bunch of things. So, but basically I'm in charge of charitable gifts for the school. And how I break that down is we help the community, individuals, groups, organizations, companies, philanthropic goals, to help our students, which will fund education. So if you're familiar with the higher education, there's some grants, federal money that students can get. And then we kind of, with the philanthropic goals of the community, we help kind of fill that gap. And it also helps fund the programs, which lead to the jobs and employment for our students and the community that we live in. So you got to keep up with the technology. You talked about the sim lab. There's a lot of money with those manikins. So we have to upkeep them, and then we have to stay up with that technology. There's ever changing, every day, especially with technology. It's like you get a new iPhone every year. Exactly. So you got to keep up with it. So that's pretty much what I do and help, our students in the community.
And so these manikins, again, I mentioned going through the introduction that they're super interesting to me. So they literally were lifelike. They would bleed, they would breathe, they would do all these lifelike things.
Oh, they do everything. So I would give tours to incoming students and people in the community, like the state higher governors and everything that come through. So what they do is pretty much whatever we do. So I hope you don't ever have to go to the hospital, but just if you do and you see one of our students, you know that they are getting the best hands-on training, because they sweat, they bleed, they blink, they have blood pressures, they have heart rate, they have lung sounds, bowel sounds, pulses throughout the body just like we do. We talk for them. They cough, they throw up, they even give birth like we talked about. So and they give birth to a little baby mannequin that cries, he moves his head. They turn blue. So if you're not familiar with turning blue, it means they're cyanotic, and our students would know that, and they would have to give the baby oxygen. So it's just amazing. It's amazing. What I always told the tour is these are BMWs sitting in a bed, because that's how much they're worth.
I can imagine the value of those is certainly upwards of a BMW's value. No, wow, that is awesome. That's interesting. No, and to your point, I can only imagine the upkeep of the technology and of the resources like that. And so given, your role is very important to make sure that you're consistently, you're bringing in the enough funding and enough structure to be able to stabilize all that. I totally understand where you're coming from. So coming out of the spring and summer semester. Well, let me ask you this first. FSW, did they have any summer semesters?
Yes, we do.
You did have.
We go through. Yep.
Okay. I would imagine all were virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So from the spring and from the fall, because we're going to kind of take a bit of a sidestep here from the manikins. From the spring and I'm sorry, I said fall. From the spring and from the spring and summer semesters, what did you see on the students' end of things coming out of the semesters that worked really well? Let's say March. Let me elaborate a little bit more. In March is when, kind of I'd say the climax, not really the climax, but COVID really, peaked it in a sense where, okay, everything was getting shut down. Students went on spring break and then didn't come back. Is really kind of when that was triggered. And then through the rest of March and then April and then May, everybody was virtual. So what I'm getting at is, did you see any, what were the successes? What were the, specifics that students were able to do, the resources that were offered or the resources that were leveraged on the students' end coming out of the spring and summer semester that has gotten them out, kind of been able to ride this COVID storm and been able to get them through and still being able to study and work effectively at FSW?
Well, like you said, the COVID, and they went to spring break, and then you come back and everything is just upended. So I have to give credit to our faculty and staff, because once we went completely online, we had a week to get everybody online and then continue. So it was flawless. I mean, maybe there's a little issues, but the fact that they were able to continue from where they left off and able to finish the semester, it was just amazing that you're able to do that. So I think students were able to, if you were up to graduation, you graduated. If you had, you're continuing on, you were able to finish. There was no delay or pushback like you had to wait till summer. So success stories, I think there's too many to mention.
Yeah.
There's a
So what
ton from
we'll
this.
we'll make it so we'll make it as recent as possible then. What's been really working well these most recent summer semesters? You know, with now that maybe things are easing up, is there been a hybrid to the classes? Has just the online classes finally been able to get locked down? Maybe a new software that FSW adopted that has allowed you all to effectively work online? What has been the most recent kind of success and reason that everything's still moving forward smoothly?
I think it was just because, like you said, once it moved online, we had that little bit, like a week, maybe little growing pains, but we knew in the summer that it was all going to be online. So all the faculty had the time. Uh, we used Canvas, and they were able to design the way they wanted to teach the class,
Right,
because
right.
you were just teaching a class in person, and now you were in line for a couple, maybe a month to finish the semester, but you knew that the summer you were going to completely be online, so you were able to tailor to your needs. And then just coming out of that, I think it's just amazing. Like I said, it's great for the faculty and staff to keep the students on schedule. And I think one of the successes is that there was pretty much, we stayed where we were with students. So there was not really dropouts. Nobody was, everyone was coming back for the summer. I think a summer where you were at the peak of COVID, kind of what was going to happen. And students kept, they needed to finish their higher education. So I think that was awesome. I also think one of the stories is that they were able to graduate and they're still finding jobs. They're passing their exams. One instance, I think, from the spring was our respiratory students. I talked to our director, and she said that they talked to the governor, or put a letter to the governor, please let our respiratory students kind of get a provisional license so that they were able to take the exam, right during this time, so they can actually get out in the hospital and help.
Oh, nice.
So,
Right.
Because they had weeks till graduation, and then they weren't allowed to go into the hospital to finish up their clinicals. So clinicals, they're out in the hospital working with other respiratory therapists, learning more on that last semester, which would have been summer A. But because everything was just upended and you're online, we asked for them to get out there now, because they were needed. Even, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, everybody was needed. So I think that's a huge success story.
I was gonna say that is a definition of a success story. That is awesome that FSW was able to do that, get that new pool of the emerging workforce, the front hand. Yeah, that's awesome. FSW, and I'd say the local community, has a pretty good grasp on everything that's going on now during the summer semesters, with the the lifts being or the restrictions being lifted. I mean to say, what can the community, as far as maybe in the sense of higher education industry, or just specify FSW, up to you, what can they expect going into the fall semester? Is it going to be, a lot of hybrid stuff? Are they trying to bring everybody back on campus? I know you just mentioned one of the good things is you didn't really have a drop off of enrollment. I was seeing throughout this summer, a lot of colleges were concerned and even saw the numbers already decreasing, a decline in applications being submitted for the upcoming school year, just an overall decline in enrollment. I saw University of Southern New Hampshire, I believe it was, took their tuition down from almost around 30 to 15. So almost pretty much halved their tuition. I did hear, they were kind of in the works already doing that. But again, it's obvious that with everything that had happened throughout, COVID and the decline in the enrollment, that was without a doubt, the ultimate factor why they pulled the trigger much sooner, and why they ultimately, have that tuition. So what can FSW expect? What can the community expect going into the fall semester?
First, I think you got to go with safety. I believe FSW has done a phenomenal job with keeping our students, faculty, staff safe. So I think you shouldn't be nervous or a little anxious, because we're doing everything that, the CDC, World Health Organization, the state, and just keeping all the students safe. So right now we want them to come back on campus. So we're doing a bunch of hybrids. So there's going to be online, there's going to be live online. So your teacher will be online through Zoom. So just like a regular traditional class, but it's going to be taught with the teacher online. Then we're doing a hybrid where it's some students come in the class, and then some students are on Zoom, and then they're going to rotate each week. So we have a bunch, and then FSW online too. So your basic online. So it depends on what you like. I think also how you learn. You can kind of choose, and it's also what the instructor is choosing of how they want to teach the class. So I think you just got to find out what fits best for you. But it definitely comes down to safety. I think that's what is important. So if during the fall semester something changes, I think we're able to pivot and either, if we have to go online, do that, I would assume, and just look out for our students.
I think it was a good move, you all getting on Canvas. I used Canvas when I was going through my time at FGCU, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of Canvas. It's structured very nicely, awesome user interface, very user friendly, and yeah, just all around, I'd say a really good management system to have taken everything online. So I'd say a really good move there. I've been looking into this wouldn't be necessarily relative to FSW. We're probably just talking on an overall school system level now, but the companies K-12 and Chegg seem to be two of the leaders in the e-learning sector that have really stood out to be those leaders in the sector. Chegg and K-12. I would imagine K-12 really wouldn't be any useful to a higher education, company. That's why I said, I mentioned we're probably speaking, overall school system here, but I did see that just overall e-learning, the e-learning industry is going to see a huge boom. It's all the boom. And I think going forward, like you just mentioned, maybe things will change throughout the fall semester. Maybe classes that are trying to urge, some on-campus meetings, it might be a bit too soon. Maybe they'll have to repeat, pull that back and maybe move to online. That might happen. But I think regardless, going forward in the next 6 months, in the next year and a half, I think we're going to see a lot of leverage of online learning, a lot of still e-learning, whether that just be all assignments are online now. Let's stop having hand out all the papers and having to track all that all the time. Just keeping all of the documentation, all assignments, everything online, which is what huge thing for Canvas. That's where Canvas really steps into play.
Yeah, because I like how you just brought that up, the K-12, and I'm just thinking, you take classes in high school to get ready for college. Once this happened and it was all online, high school students, you kind of are just getting a really good head start on what college could look like if you take a year off, right? Or you learn better online. Like, you now are seeing how online works, and it should be like, I'm not nervous about going to college anymore. I can do online.
Exactly.
So now you mentioned that, I just was thinking.
Yeah. In our last episode, Natalie, our co-founder, she interviewed, her name is Caitlin Sukup. She's a teacher down at a high school in Naples, in the school district of Collier. And what she was mentioning was a lot of her students have expressed they've enjoyed the transition to online. They aren't spending as much time on the curriculum or on the assignments, whatever it be, anymore, because what was once a forced 5-hour, 6-hour day, whatever it was, they now know, look, I can get all that done, learn everything the same, be at the same level I was as if it was in class in 3 hours or in 4 hours. So students are really, I guess they're really being able to take more control over the duration it takes them to complete, all of the curriculum and get themselves to the level that they need to be at. Because at the end of the day, all students work differently. Students work at different paces, all differently. So moving everything online, as long as obviously all the content, all the curriculum is still provided equally, it's a good opportunity for those students who may work quicker or may work slower to work slower or to work quicker, whatever is tailored right to their liking and to their ability to work better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a big online. I took my course, my BS, I did online, and I just liked the structure of it. Like, you knew you were assignments were due Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, so you knew you had Sunday, Monday, to get it all done, and you worked at your own pace. There wasn't
control. Yeah,
you're in for 2 hours listening to the lecture, which is great. I need to do that when it comes to mathematics. I need to see somebody in front of me doing the math problem, but it helps everybody.
Absolutely. So let's focus in on the students now. Home in on the students now. What are some ways that they can maximize this upcoming fall semester? I know we mentioned it could be hybrid, it could be online, it could be completely online. So it's going to be kind of tough to give a single answer to this, but let's go ahead and maybe give a couple answers. What are some ways that can maximize this? I'll go first. I'll even go first. My biggest recommendation to students is to get comfortable with being online, with managing, organizing, and scheduling all your stuff online. I understand you may be moved to on campus. I understand your classes still may be on campus, but still get comfortable and still be prepared and become a master at any of the different, management softwares that you use, anything, any documentation softwares. For example, I'm a huge fan of Trello. Trello is one of the softwares that I use just for overall project management, whether it has to be something I'm doing for the company or on a personal level, or down to my bills, whatever it be. Just having everything online, everything virtual has really streamlined everything going on in my life and been able to make my abilities to just, get through each and every day well balanced, not be overstressed about this, overexerted there, or forgetting about this because I'm so worried about this thing over here. Just really, virtualizing everything, keeping everything online, and getting very comfortable has put me, and I've seen a lot of my peers in a position where anything that's thrown at them, it's sticking, it's staying. They're not losing it. They're not forgetting it. They're not stressed. They're balancing it. They're handling it all well. So I'd say that'd be my biggest thing, is get comfortable and get prepared to, have, move everything you have online, utilize your go-to, software to store all your documentation, to manage everything you have going on, to schedule, your bill payments, to schedule anything you have else going on. That's one of my biggest recommendations. What do you got?
Yeah, you hit it on the head, and what you're like saying, and what I was thinking is flexibility. You're going to have to be a little bit flexible, because you may be online traditional, and then, depending on what's going on out there, we're going to go to online. So just got to be flexible, but also don't be afraid to ask for help. Everybody's in this. We're all in this together. So if you're anxious, or you think you're having trouble, or you're nervous, reach out to your other students, reach out to faculty, reach out to an advisor, reach out to us. Like, we're here to help. We want you to succeed. So we're not just going to let you flounder and flop, out there. We want to make sure that you're achieving what you set out to achieve. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's also another one. And then just choose, like you said, what works best for you, but then, be flexible, get ready.
Yeah.
So if you like the traditional classes, go for it. I think
I'm gonna piggyback on what you said as far as asking for the help goes. I think a lot of people, especially, the younger you are, maybe the less comfortable you are with asking questions. It's one thing to ask just a ridiculous amount, question after question, tons of questions, but it's also different, if you're asking the right questions. It's okay, ask plenty of questions, especially if you're asking the right questions, quality questions. Nobody ever does it alone. Like you said, I'm sure no faculty, no staff member is expecting these students to completely, sail completely smoothly through the upcoming semester, figure it all out on their own. Everything's going to be good and dandy. Everything's going to be perfect. All stars are going to line up. It's just not, it's not going to happen. 2020 has completely shown us otherwise. And so I think it's what you said, for those students to, get comfortable and be willing to go ask for that help, ask the questions, go to your staff, go to your faculty, pick up the phone, pick up the email, go, visit on campus if that's allowed. And find out ways you can, they can help, whatever it is you're doing, how you can make it better. Maybe you're misunderstanding an assignment or a class altogether, or honestly, I'm going to take this to an extreme even, and feel free to push back on this, because at the end of the day, you're the one you're in the true role. I'm not. If you're a student and you start this semester taking a class, or you're enrolled in a class that maybe you didn't expect it to be online, you thought it was going to be on campus, and look, at the end of the day, that class, you work so effectively and you work like yourself if you're on campus. But now that class has been moved online, maybe, unless it's a requirement, unless it's a dire need, maybe look for another class. Maybe look to switch out of that class instead of trying to force a class that you don't need and maybe you're not 100% prepared and comfortable for, because now all of a sudden it's moved from on campus to online. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident that there are some classes that are really tough to move online. There are some I'll even get specific. This might not be specific to FSW, but plumbing. It's probably pretty hard to teach plumbing online. You know what I mean? So I'm just using one very specific example, but it's the concept I'm getting at. Is there are classes, there are things that are taught that are just very difficult and just not effective to be taught online. And so I'm just reaching out to all those students out there that, look, if you're heading into this fall semester and you are just like, I'm going to fail this class because I thought it was going to be on campus, I don't know enough about the topic. It's not a requirement. Why am I even taking it? don't take it. Withdraw. Find another class. I'm not saying you got to fail that class or anything like that, but I'd say do yourself the favor, and instead of spending a semester that you already know is probably going to be a little bit wacky, go find a class that you know can align with your schedule and is going to help you work productively. Push back on that, Kyle, if you think I'm completely off the if I'm completely wrong with that. But what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, you might be talking about like other maybe technical schools, but for FSW, you're not going to be taking a class that you don't want to take. Like we're not doing that. You're going to take what you can, but you make sense of, you may not feel comfortable with taking, A and P might, everything is online. Maybe you want to just push that class a semester back, see how it comes in the spring.
Exactly. Yeah.
And take maybe, you need to do a social science, like do that instead.
Exactly.
Kind of mix your schedule, like you said, where
that's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because plumbing you definitely can't do, but we're doing, like right now, I know our EMTs, they were on postponed for COVID because you have to be
so there you go.
dealing with person to person.
Like that is already postponed. Yeah.
Yeah, they were postponed, but what they did is we came back now because everyone was closed down. So now we're back. They're doing CDC. They're doing the face mask. So now they're on campus doing simulations where they're taking care of patients all through the campus. So if you're by FSW, you're going to see the ambulances going around and picking up volunteers who are becoming our patients, and our students are able to get all the hours that they needed. Their hands-on contact to finish up. So I think your extreme is for other places, but for us, I think
it's a good point.
You can work around
that's good. That's good to hear that programs who may have fallen in that category already took the course of action to look, at the end of the day, that your program just knew whatever it was a couple months ago. None of our students can do this, right? And so you'd have no enrollment in that. It's just not possible to have it done. So having it postponed, it pushed it back until more of a viable time. No, that makes sense. So it's good to know that those programs okay. You got me there. I totally see where you're coming from there. Just a thought. I wanted to share just a thought.
No, I see exactly.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, this is a little bit different, and maybe this story is a little bit irrelevant, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was my freshman year. I was going to the science program at FGCU, and I took biology, and it was like the first week or so, and I'm like, I cannot take this class. It was not what I thought it was going to be. I know it would have been a very stressful semester that just would have completely steered me in the wrong direction. And so I was flexible. I withdrew from that class without it affecting my grade. It didn't affect anything on my report card. It's all. And then let me clarify that I'm not saying just leave that class and then take the F or the withdrawal grade or anything like that. Absolutely not. That's
follow the rules. You don't want to get an F or anything.
Yeah, no. Make that decision well beforehand. Make that decision before the semester even starts. Is what I was saying before. But point I'm getting is, I withdrew from that biology class, and it was probably one of the best decisions I made. I redirected my course, ended up in I ended up in a bit of a different major, but that's a whole different story for another day. But the point I'm getting at is I was flexible, and I did not force myself into something that I was just very, very, it was beyond uncomfortability. It was to a point where I was like, look, I'm going to be like fighting myself this entire semester. I'm going to be my own worst enemy this entire semester. I was like, it would have set me back. So I had to make that decision at the very beginning of the semester before it affected me. So there are scenarios where that does happen, but I see totally where you're going with that on your end.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like you said, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah,
and
you know what you're getting into.
But
be flexible.
You weren't quitting. You were just pushing it back a little bit, exactly. But still going with other courses.
Precisely. Self-awareness is power, man. Self-awareness is power, and so for you to identify you yourself and how you're working at and what you can handle, as long as it's not gonna come bite you in the butt, whatever. Yeah, I really agree. We'll go ahead. So before we started this podcast, we were talking just a little bit about the initiative you have going on. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but let's start from ground zero for all of our listeners who just don't know anything about it. Your initiative that FSW launched. Go ahead and introduce it and tell us all about it.
So what we talked about, it's called Stronger Together 2020, and it pretty much is what the school is doing to help out our students, current students, future students, our programs. So it's going to provide, by helping us out, you're going to provide essential workforce for teaching and training, reduce the funding gaps, which is important, that is the state and the economic shortages that are happening right now. So that's going to be a really tough one with what the state's doing. It's going to be interesting. Gives anyone access to educational opportunities, which is huge during this time. You have the unemployment. People may now, I think they're going to change careers. if they realize where they're at, or they unfortunately got laid off and they realize that they want to do something different, I think now the time. So we're able to help those students. We're able to enhance the financial support available to those with increased need. So any students who are in need of, anything other than scholarship, tuition, all that, we're able to help as well. And then develop any program and infrastructure for FSW. I also like to think with what's going on, we're able to pivot in the lieu of any new programs or certificates or whatever. We're able to help the economy come back. Sorry about that, I couldn't think of the words. Get the jobs out there, our students out there in the workforce to help the community build that up. And that's pretty much strengthen our role in the economic recovery. So by your support, we definitely are stronger together. And I think helping the community for everybody is huge. I think everybody's important.
And so you launched that. Remind us when you launched that.
We launched that around June 23rd.
Okay.
We just launched that. So that's our stronger campaign. But you're also able to help, our program students in any way. We do scholarships. If you wanted to help, a specific program like School of Health, School of Business, any of the programs, School of Purified Sciences, School of Humanities and Associate. Like if you like one program, if you're a huge fan of nursing, you can help them. So, just helping the students.
Awesome. I love it. And so, and last question on this is moving. It's going to be obviously pushing into the fall semester, probably going in even into the entire school year, I would imagine, right? Since you just launched in June, I'd say it's going to be going on all school year.
Yeah, it's going to be, I would think for the whole year, for at least probably June to June. And we'll see, how the landscape continues on through the next 6 months through the fall semester.
Cool. So we're wrapping up here in, the last few minutes or so of our podcast episode. First, before we jump into the last thing we're going to express to all of our student listeners out there, just want to, have Kyle, have you share where any of our listeners can find you, get any more information about the Stronger Together initiative going on. And maybe just learn more about it and how they can get involved, how the community in general can get involved going forward.
Yes, you can find us at, for any students who are interested in FSW, we have a great, amazing staff, faculty, everybody there. So you can go at www.fswfrankscottwater.edu. And you can also help Stronger Together or the school in general at foundation.fsw.edu. And that's where you will pretty much find us. If I could just give also to a corporate sponsorship, I just wanted to go back to the one question that I think about it is, how can you maximize your fall semester? I would have been able to tell you, go see our number 1 men's basketball or number 13 women's volleyball is coming back in their second year. I would love to do that. So what we're doing to help athletics is a golf event. It's outdoors, it's CBC coming up in October. So you can find that as well as at foundation.fsw.edu, because all of our athletics are postponed till January. And then come January, all softball, basketball, volleyball are going to be in at the same time. So that's actually going to be really exciting.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. It's going to be a little sports madness going on this spring semester. That'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I'll make sure. So I just, as you were just saying that, I just plugged in on my document the link. I'll make sure we plug in the link to all of the distribution of this podcast. So everyone go ahead and look in the bottom of the description box of this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, you'll see the link right there in the description. But cool. Well, awesome. Well, last kind of things here as we wrap up the episode. Again, this is our season 1 finale. I cannot express our gratitude enough to all of you. I'm talking to all you listeners right now. Cannot express our gratitude enough coming from the entire Fieldr team and honestly from all of our guests that we've had, speaking on all of their behalfs. I can confidently say we have really appreciated the support, the traction that we have picked up so quickly on this Fieldr Academy podcast. We're only a little over 15 episodes in with our bonuses. We have a little over a few hundred downloads here in the community, tons and tons of plays, but we're really excited of how many people have downloaded this playlist, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast. It's really nice to know that we're sitting in there, in your phone pocket on your iPhone, ready for you to listen to us whenever we release a new episode. So it's honestly very humbling, very exciting. You can definitely be on the lookout for that podcast. I'm sorry, for the blog I mentioned. Got that wrong. The blog that's going to be coming out in a couple weeks. But you'll get plenty of information on that. So I just want to mention that. So with that being said, that we're on our final episode of season 1, we wanted to end this on a bit of a crescendo, giving just, words of encouragement to all of our listeners. Kyle, we can focus in on our students. You can focus in on our employers. I'm going to kind of focus in on everybody right now, just our audience all together. I have one quote I want to share, and then I'll turn it over to Kyle. But my quote that I want to share with everyone, it's a Steve Jobs quote. For all of you who know me, I'm a huge, huge, huge Steve Jobs fan and advocate. And so I always love presenting, talking about his quotes and just talking about his life. So I got a quote here pulled up. Again, this is to everyone listening. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it, and don't ever settle. My little recap of that is, it's pretty straightforward, but it's continue, finding, if you're somebody who unfortunately was furloughed, maybe was let go from a job, I don't know your specific situation, your specific scenario, but I'm going to go ahead and say, I think everything is, in some way, shape, or form meant to happen for a reason. And so I think it is just an opportunity being presented to you to go pursue maybe a new industry, something new, something you always wanted to do, something you always wanted to love, maybe start your own business. Whatever it be, take this as an opportunity to redirect or to just pick up the pieces and move forward stronger and better than you were before. But the point being, I think that Steve Jobs was getting at is don't settle. And just like with all matters of the heart that you love, you'll feel it in your heart. You'll feel it when you finally do find that one thing, that something that fills you up with joy, satisfaction. And when you go to work, it never feels like a day work in your life. So I hope everyone finds that. I hope everyone keeps searching until they find that. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Kyle. Any final words of encouragement to end our season 1 Fieldr Academy podcast on a crescendo?
Yeah, well, I'd say personally, that was absolutely true. That was a great quote, and it speaks, and I believe in it as well. Whatever you love to do it's not a job. That's what you want to do in life. I also just want to say thank you. I think the company, your podcast is amazing. You have amazing range of guests. It's just fantastic. It's great. So thank you for having me. Thank you for what you do. It's been awesome being on here. And so with that, what I like to say is I'm a huge fan of Navy SEALs. I think they're just amazing human beings, and God bless them for keeping us free and everything. They're just amazing. So one of the quotes is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for cowards. So the way I see that quote is don't quit. Set your mind to something. If you want to do something, like I said, change careers, or, you come into the school, you want to get your degree, don't quit. Keep at it. Keep, do more than what it's supposed. So if you're an A student, reach farther, A+, or see how you can push yourself. If you're a B student, get to A, see what you can do, just keep pushing. So that's what I would end on it. I hope it was
absolutely. That was great. That was great. And we're going to share the spotlight here, but something just came up that builds off of your awesome point. I've personally, and I love those who are surrounded by me. I've seen it, especially here at Fieldr, our culture. We love failure. We love mistakes, right? Iteration. It's just how you get better. Falling down 7 times, standing up 8, and moving forward and learning from it. And Kyle, shaking his head because I'm sure you can firmly agree with that. I was having a conversation, the other night with a buddy of mine, and I'm not going to remember the exact quote that came to me, but it's the concept that I'm getting at. And it's, if when you fail, when you make that mistake, if you don't fail flying to the ground 100 miles an hour, you weren't trying hard enough. I don't think we're even trying at all. If when you fail, you don't fly against the wall, you don't slam against whatever it is when you fail, I don't think you're even trying enough to begin with. Because when you fail, and you're going to fail hard, but pick yourself back up and learn from that mistake. Because when you do fail very hard, it shows the effort and that you were putting forth, the effort that you were putting forth prior to that. So I'm always a believer that get comfortable with failure, get comfortable with mistakes. I don't think that could be any more true than the year of 2020.
Oh,
Honestly, 2020 is the year of mistakes and failure and effed up stuff going on in our world. So get comfortable and familiar with failure and mistakes. Make it your best friend. When you do fail, don't be surprised when you're flying 100 miles an hour against the wall and slam at it. Brush yourself off, brush your shoulders off, stand
it stinks a little, but yeah.
And it hurts a little bit. But then pick back right up and keep on moving fast as you can, man. Keep on moving fast, and fast and forward. So I just wanted to say that get comfortable with failure as we go to this fall semester. There's going to be mistakes. We talked a lot about that in this podcast, that we don't even know if you're going to be on campus or if you're going to be online. Teachers don't even know. The schools don't even really, we were given our best educated guesses and just from, of course, what Kyle knows from his insights, being over at FSW. But again, at the end of the day, anything can change. And so be familiar, and be prepared for a lot of mistakes and failure, but know that it's all part of life and it's all part of growing. And there's no doubt in my mind, every single one of you are going to get on the other side of it stronger, better than ever. And we're going to ride out 2020 and we're going to go into an even stronger 2021. So thank you everyone for sticking with us for an awesome 15 or so episodes. Thank you for sticking us on this episode 15. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun having you on, Kyle. Super glad we were able to.
I appreciate it. I had a ton of fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Too. Yeah, that's awesome. No, me too. Well, everyone, thank you so much. We'll let you go now. Again, end of season 1 here, episode 15. Be on the lookout for the blog. We'll send some more information about it now, but I hope you take advantage of this time to re-listen to any of the episodes if you've already listened to all of them, or if you've missed any since our first one. This will give you the opportunity to go ahead and listen to that episode, gain all that valuable content that we've been sure to include in it. And I'll leave you on this. And everyone, I would love for you all to leave some feedback. If you're so inclined to, please email us at info@fieldrinc.com. That's info@fieldrinc.com. We'd love to hear, any of the feedback, positive, negative, suggestions, recommendations, should do this, shouldn't do that. We'd love to hear from our audience, how they enjoyed and what they liked or didn't like about season 1. So come season 2, we make sure, just like everyone else, we come back better and stronger than ever. So with that, I thank you, everyone. We'll shut up now. We hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Have a great one, and we'll see you all on the other side. Bye, everyone.